My start is I ask what they're eating, right? So not assuming of what people might already be putting in their body. So a lot of times I already have the data. So essentially we have their labs, they're diabetic. I'm using that as an example, but I know, if they're hypertension, if they have overweight or obesity or kind of high cholesterol, all these different parameters. And there's so many diseases in our world that come from the food choices, our movement or lack of movement that we make with our body. So asking them, and there's always like, well, today I didn't eat as well. I'm like, just tell me what you ate. Like truly the goal of this is no judgment. It's to see what is this person's starting point? Where do they shop? Are they able to shop on a regular basis? So if somebody financially can only buy canned food, that's going to be a really different discussion than somebody that is pondering whether they should get a meal delivery service, right? And none of those have any fault to them. It just helps me guide them, because there's such a premise of eating healthy is boring. And I say the bland boiled broccoli experience. And I love delicious food. And as I empower people, it's finding those tastes that they love and then figuring out how to move in a way that moves their needle towards better health. So it's not a scripted. So you say, okay, what is, it's very individual. And it's discussions of figuring out with them, what do they feel their starting point could be? So for somebody, it could be if they drink 5 sodas a day. Okay, how do we change that? Really sugar sweetened. Are they hungry? Are they tired? So they're reaching for caffeine. Do they want the bubbles? So figuring out what is the nuance of what they're craving with that, and helping them move in a way that removes, again, for example, sodas or juices all day. A lot of it is, we tend to live in a society that's kind of the one-hit wonder. Like, what's the one thing I should eat and I'm going to lose those 50 pounds I put on over the last decade? Or, what's the one food I should eat or shouldn't eat? And to pull away from that and look at the broad strokes. So I brought a show and tell here. So one of the pieces that we look at, this plate, and this is essentially placed, we see it on kind of myplate.gov. It's very much also related to the Harvard School of Public Health put on one that I feel is much more evidence-based of the healthy eating plate, that you can Google it, you can download it in different colors. But so your question of what should we eat? The goal is, no matter what pattern of eating you've chosen, really goal of half your plate being fruits and vegetables with every meal, okay? Then whole grains rather than processed grains, which are night and day different. So if I'm eating, white bread versus whole wheat bread, which has per slice 3 to 5 grams per slice, and that takes some getting used to looking at labels, that's going to be very different to my body. And the same thing with protein, well thought out protein. So it's not this giant steak filling the plate. If I eat meat, it's only a quarter of the plate. And then can I incorporate more plant-based proteins? So this visual, I always joke that if I got a tattoo, I would have gotten this on my forehead, but then I wouldn't be able to read it. But this is in my head from when I grocery shop. So really helping people. Notoriously in the US, we are lacking on this fruits and vegetables side. So already, if we start adding more of that, this stuff's gonna start dripping off the side, right? So we're gonna start minimizing or decreasing our portions there. So that's a good visual to think about. As simple as, if I'm making smoothies as our meal for breakfast, either for myself or myself and my family, I'm going to put berries, and it could be frozen or fresh. I'm going to add spinach or kale in that blender. If you do dark berries, the color is just beautiful. You're getting also all the calcium that you get from those leafy greens. I'm going to add raw oats as my whole grain, and I'm going to add either nuts, nut butter, or plain yogurt to get that probiotics. So right there, it's not that you have to eat toddler style where everything's separated out. In the blender, I'm getting those nutritional points. But Michael Pollan, who does a lot of work out of Berkeley, has this really good quote on supplements. He's like, eat as if you're taking supplements. And so what he means by that is most people who are thinking about supplements are already eating fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and well thought out proteins. You don't usually have the drive-through 3 times a day to fast food plus supplements, right? So the goal, it's rare the supplements that our body needs if we're truly thinking about, not just when we think about eating the rainbow. Yes, it's beautiful for the eyes, but each of those colors is giving us a different nutrient. And it doesn't mean you have to memorize that, orange is good for my eyes, or green is good for other parts of my body. But thinking not just of the colors, but also of the parts of the plant, because each one of those, and what I mean by that is something like a root vegetable, like beets or purple potatoes or sweet potatoes, is going to give me different nutrients than if I'm eating, like the pepper, like you see up there. So if you are conscious of that plate and those components, it is rare the supplements that you need. If you're fully 100% plant-based, there are certain ones, especially like vitamin B12 and vitamin D, that are recommended because it's hard to get those through food. Vitamin D is hard to get through food as it is. So those are really my two that I say those are ones to supplement. And the vitamin D for everybody, B12 only if you're 100% plant-based. But otherwise, really, really spending your time and energy on diversifying your ingredient portfolio rather than spending the money on a bunch of supplements.